Welcome back to Itsnotjunktv. My name's Jarvis, and we're finally back into the carving series today. I've pulled out a bunch of different gouges and V-tools. Um, Similar to my previous video on the knives, I'm going to show you some hand motion, some things, some safety things. We'll probably strop these again, even though I got a video out there that'll show you how to strop knives, V-tools, gouges, all that. I kind of cover a lot of those things. So if you haven't watched that one, go back and check it out. You'll probably learn a few things. So this time we're going to get in. I actually got some good basswood I picked up. I say good, but it's basswood. It come from Hobby Lobby, so it's a little dry. I did cut the pieces down so they're a little bit more manageable. So I think they'll work for what we need to do today. So instead of standing here looking at my ugly mug, I say we jump right into it, start making some cuts. All right, hopefully you got a good view of that. We got it back, been fiddling with it now, hoping that I can get it. Make sure we got enough light. All right, hopefully it'll create shadows because it's going to. All right, gouges and V-tools. That's what we're covering today. Anybody here that's totally new, that doesn't know what a V-tool or a gouge is, we'll start with gouges. It's a U-shaped gouging tool. You'll have different widths. This one, probably 5/8 wide. And it's a number 9 sweep, so that means down through here, that number tells you how deep that it is. See, this one's a number 11, probably a 1/4 inch wide, but it's a number 11, so it's a lot deeper, and this one cuts a lot different than this one. Different ones. There's a bunch of different styles. You don't need to go out. You will expand on these. These are not, unlike the knives. You know, I kind of emphasize don't go out and just buy a bunch. Same thing with these. Get you a couple different sizes. Something a little narrower and a little deeper. So when you first start working on faces, you got something to work with. Something a little wider to cut in waves and stuff for hair. And something a little wider even. You know, maybe not so deep. These, I'll show you a couple things with them. You can use them for more than just cutting this big groove. With any of these are not one swipe and done kind of deals. They're just going to take multiple passes in order to make the cuts with these, and then to get to the depth. And then with some of these deeper ones, once you start getting down to the total depth of this tool, it'll just start tearing and the edges will start grabbing. There's a way of grinding to eliminate some of that, but just don't push the tool deeper than it needs to go. And if you need to go deeper, then everything else is probably going to have to go deeper anyway. Basic hand holds. These are going to be the same for both V-tools and for the gouges. I should probably hold a V-tool. I'll go ahead and introduce you to these. They are exactly what they sound like. Just a V-shaped tool that cuts a V-shaped notch. But a lot of what this can do can be done with a knife with doing stop and relief cuts, but this can make it a lot quicker. But we'll get a little bit more into that in a second. We'll start off here. Like I say, the holding technique is pretty much the same across the board with the two. I'm primarily left-handed, so I tend to carve with these shorter handles with my hand, get it tucked up in there to where it's in the knuckles. It's not in the palm of my hand. It's out here in this first crook of the hand. And then with these shorter ones, I'll lay that pinky under the back and sort of brace it so it has, you know, this lateral push here. It pushes into the pinky. The thumb you want to leave out. Now, I know everybody's hands not going to be the same. You're going to, you know, those of you with smaller hands, if you have smaller hands, you'll want to choke up on it. That can be uncomfortable sometimes, especially with these type of tools. If you go the flex cut route, that's the worst thing about these. You let them sit, these little everything tends to get sticks. There we go. We'll just pull one out here. So these are the flex cut. That's going to be your most economical way of getting a broad selection of these, because you buy one handle and then you just buy the blades instead of these. Like, this is a fixed blade version. That's much more expensive to buy than versus these. But with this, if you see, this is smaller palm version. This one I will put up because it's broader. Something like that will go into the palm of your hand. More out towards the front, but it's going to take up more of that room. Still in the knuckles. You're still palming it no matter what. Even this handle's bigger than my hand, and I'll choke it up into there. But that's what you're aiming for. You want it up in these fingers, because your fingers are going to end up doing more of the cutting work than your whole hand is. It's more of a finger action. So we'll take this grain's run in a couple different ways. Use that thumb as a brake to stop it and give me some more control. Get it in here, get it positioned where I want it. Kind of choked up a little bit. Drop it in. And as you're making the cut, if you notice, I'm not just gouging into it. I mean, you can do that. And I'm also not digging in trying to make that cut all at one time. That's just, you're just going to chip the edge of the tool. You'll leave a lot of splinters into your wood. It's just not, your best to take it small bites. And if you watch, I roll the tool as I cut. I come into the cut, and as I push into the cut, that way I'm using more area of the blade, and it leaves you a better cut. The deeper ones, like I was saying before, if you go pushing on these you're not going to get much roll on, because, well, there's not much roll there to it. It's pretty tight circle, so you're not going to get to roll it much, but you're going to work until you get to where you want. You can roll this tool. You see, I notice I keep the thumb on there. The thumb keeps the tool from slipping and going forward. So as long as I've got that thumb locked in there, see, I can even use that little narrow gouge to work back material, kind of use the side of it a little bit. That's what I was saying about this having more than one use. Yes, it'll do a big old gouge, big old valley in there, but I can lay that tool on its side and just hog out material with it. See, now I don't like leaving them chips behind, but I kind of dug it a little bit too much. So, but if you wanted to take care of that without tearing it out, just come back from this side, work it slow. Because if I'd have just kept pushing from this way, this would have tore out. Like, no, it's not going to do it. From this like that. See how it, and now when you pull that out, it left a fuzzy, and now there's a rough spot. You don't want to see too much rough, but you also don't want to sand. I'm not a fan of people sanding on carvings or anything like that. I think it's unnecessary. But that's what you're looking for, no matter what tool you pick up. I had another, the little palm gouge. I like to choke up on these. Now, there is people that'll take and tape these up. You can take rubber tubing and slide it down to give you a little bit of shrink tubing, electrical shrink tubing. I've seen that slid up on them before and struck out, just to give you something, because you really need to choke up on them. You really, if you've tried to use this from way back here and still use your thumb as a pivot point, it's really uncomfortable. It starts to hurt the thumb. But if you choke up on them, and because I'm not pushing my hand, I'm using my hand kind of like in my previous video about knives. If you've not went back, please go back and like it and watch it and subscribe and do all them good things, because I could really use it. I'm trying to increase my subscribers. But like I showed you with this one is a wrist motion. This isn't a hand motion. Even when you're cutting back like this, it's all in the hand. There's no real arm motion. I'm having to hold out here because I'm trying to make sure the camera sees it. But if I was sitting here carving it myself, I would have these elbows tucked up into my stomach, bracing my arms on my chest and my stomach. But because I'm showing you, but gouge, just see. We'll take this. Say we wanted to do a quick wood spirit, and we just wanted to lay out some eyes. We use a corner of the block because, well, the face has kind of got a point to it in the center of the nose. We'll keep working that. Notice I ain't trying to do it all at one time. Trying to keep it somewhat even. So if the face is 5 noses long, and I've already done the eyes first, so this nose is going to be about as long as that, I take and put a little notch just to mark it, and start working this down a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. See where I went a little deeper and left that fuzzy? And then you can work this back. And you can start roughing out the eye sockets, the bottom of the nose. But like I say, you want to keep that face about 5 eyeballs wide, noses wide. So I went ahead and made my nose the same as my eyes, and then you come down here, that would be the bottom of the mouth, and you can put another one across here. Just have to take this one a little deeper, the nose would be a little deeper, and you can lay out a face pretty fast with a gouge. This size, that would have probably been a little bit better of a choice, but it's all in the hand. You want to use that thumb, pivot. Use that thumb, pivot. If you got you a wider gouge, rotate that gouge while you're doing it. Don't just push, rotate. The hand, just like that. That's what you're shooting for. You're wanting nice clean chips. You don't have to do straight lines. Don't ever do this. Don't, you see this a lot. This is dangerous. This is going to go in. You run this thing up here. You see what it's doing to this wood. That is a lot softer than what this is. So no pushing away from you. I've seen some guys do this. There is some, I don't know how they do it, but they kind of work it this way. Maybe on a larger piece. I guess you could do it. I've never tried. Let's see, you end up going cross grain, and you end up, look, and that's going right at my base of my thumb. Look at that. Every time. So yeah, I've seen that done, but I don't think I think it's more of a European thing. It's not my thing. I like control. If you see what I just did right there, that's something else I hadn't showed you yet. You can, if you need to get good grip on your piece, you can use that one thumb to help pivot and guide you. But if you're working on something that it's easier to grip than this small piece, you can lay that thumb on top of the other one and create more control. You get down and shave off the smallest of pieces. Lay out an eye, basic. Just to get you the initial rolls and wrinkles of an eye. Just a fun tool. That's another thing. You need to sit, just like I told you in the last video on knives, you need to just sit, get your blocks like these. Now when I got these at Hobby Lobby, I think they were 2x2. Very uncomfortable, hard to use, especially for this kind of thing, just making chips and making wood, learning the tools. I think they were a little bit too big, so I took them on table saw and cut them down. and made them into these 1 1/4s, I think it is, something a little easier to grip, a little easier to control, just for this stuff. You can make some quick faces. I had a couple laying here. Some little, just blocking in stuff, just playing. There's some weird cartoon my granddaughter was watching the other day, and everybody was, they were like carvings, but they were real blocky, kind of like European stuff. I don't know. It was something she was watching, so I was mimicking one of the characters that was on there. But you see how small. But that's your gouges. It's just a matter of hand control. Like I said, don't go out and buy a bunch. Get you a couple. Get you like a number 11, a number 9, and I would say something wider. This one's wide, and maybe even not so much of a sweep. Maybe a 6. Maybe, let's see, a 6. That's more of a 6. Something just a little flatter. Just use more as for removing wood, giving you some working bigger areas. Start with those 3, and that should get you started, and then expand your collection as you go, as you find you're doing different types of carving, different sizes. That's what most of these tools matter the most about, is what size carvings you plan on to carve. Are you going to do something that's a 1/2 by 1/2? You know, I know people that carve little figures like that, you know, and or are you going to carve big pieces, you know, then you're getting into other stuff. We're going to get into V-tools, same thing. This is another one. I'm pretty sure that I could do most, even on small things, most of the V-tooling that I would do with this. What I can't do with this, then I would just do stop relief cuts with this. Like the gouge, you want to get it up in that first crook of the hand, get it in there locked in. If you need, this one's extremely, even for my hand, as a palm tool, but it's one of them fancy Swiss. This says it's a number 12. So same concept, excuse me, but you can come in, lay some lines. If you wanted to lay in wrinkles, but you can lay it on its side and get different details. If you run it straight, you just get a straight sort of V shape, just a line. But if you twist and use different edges of that, you can get some different details, especially if you're doing hair. Mainly that's what I end up using it for, is doing hair, maybe some work around an eye. And sometimes just like that, you just got to work a little bit at a time. You want to lay in the line that just sort of represent the eyelid or the lower lid. And you know, the lower tucks in the upper. A little bit of anatomy you also need to learn while you're doing this. So then I would establish that with that. Stop cut up here. And just kind of tuck this under, just by reliefing it back. Just like that. Just tuck it back in there. And that was just a V-tool and a quick. And then you could take your knife, after laying that out with a V-tool, tuck that back in, tuck that back in. You reestablishing as you go deeper. Then you can come over here like I did before. Start working that out. You start rounding this off. Then you can start establishing an eye pretty quick just by running a quick line with a V-tool. You can get pretty crazy as long as you just get that first initial line started. Then you go deeper. That's all. I don't use a whole lot of V-tools. I've got a few, but I don't use them a lot because I'll use a knife and do a stop relief. You know, this V-tool, this V-tool, like I say, it just does a V-shaped, just a V-shaped groove. But I can also do that with this knife, and then I can follow it up on this side. Basically do the same thing. So it's just what you get used to. They come in handy. There's a lot of places that can help you establish some stuff pretty quickly. Um, Even if you come in and double cut a line like that, you can kind of come back in, feather it back out, fix it a little bit, and then come up here. See, I can sit here all day. We can turn this into an eye video. But if we come up and then slowly lift towards the end, now you've established a little bit of a eyelid up top. And I did this with what, 3-4 cuts, really? I mean, yeah, it's not the best, it's not the prettiest, but it's the start. The eyeball can be rounded up and flattened out a little bit more and pushed back into the socket a little bit, but yeah, it's the start. You got the establishment of some, and that was just simply with a V-tool. So handy. Cover it real quick in case you don't have time. I was wanting to cover with the V-tools. We're going to do a quick strap on them. I had already done that before we got started, but with this one, you're basically going to do each side. I like to do one on the one on the other. Find the flat. You see the bevel on this one. This tool makes it real easy right there. So you want to take it, put some pressure on it, find that flat spot, pull it. Find that flat spot, pull it. When it comes to gouges, you're like, well, how do you do a start up on the edge? It's got the flat spot and the bevel on it, just like the V-tool does. Start up on one. As you pull it, rotate the tool. Start here, rotate the tool. And that's it. That's how you do a quick strap. Really, I wouldn't do that very more times, maybe 3 or 4 more times. Just make sure I get all areas. You can see the black marks as I'm doing it. Little gouges, same way. You're just going to turn them faster. You just got to start and turn. Make sure you're following your bevel. But it don't take much, 4 or 5. Try not to run off the end of your strap like I just did. Not that I think it'll hurt much, but you'll get right back to carving condition. All right, that's what I could show you. Just take those moves, go and practice, make chips, start making your first projects or your 50th project. I hope you found it informative. I'm glad you came back, and those of you that have been waiting for this video. If you have any questions, be sure to comment below. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you just think you do it better, go ahead and mention that too. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Everybody in this world's got a different way of doing things, and hey, I may learn something from you. So be sure to comment. If you've not hit like and subscribe, be sure and do that. More videos coming shortly. I'm going to do a wood spirit video. Again, it's my version, the way I do them. If you learn something from it, that's what it's all about. Just taking little bits and pieces and making it your own. But I'm Jarvis. This is Itsnotjunktv. Until next time, take care.